Any questions or comments?
I have one comment. This was a lot of work to get these minutes as complete as they are now, but I do want to make one comment. There's a summary page that Garrett wrote, and also there's a transcript that is exact, and we are going to make that as part of the minutes.
Okay.
The one thing I do want to add, though, in paragraph 4, we talk about the denial that was done of the application for 2015. And then between that paragraph and the last paragraph, where it says further discussion about whether the commission would authorize town council to initiate enforcement action. Before we talked about that, I want to add a sentence that the certificate of hardship was not applied for by the applicant.
Or a certificate of hardship.
Or a certificate of hardship, and he agreed that he would need to file such an application.
Okay.
And then we went into the discussion about the minutes as they read, the
Very good.
initiate enforcement action, which we also obviously agreed to do that, or voted to do that. Otherwise, I have no other amendments.
Very
So
good.
Deborah, can you just read that sentence again?
Here's the sentence. A certificate of hardship was not applied for by the applicant on February 5th,
Well, you don't have to say.
or you don't have to say
Just
that.
the minutes of February 5th.
And he agreed, and the applicant agreed that he would need to file such an application for a certificate of hardship.
Okay. I had 3 minor changes to the transcript. One is I just added a title. The other is on what I think was page 9 of what was circulated. There was one line that was attributed to Robert Branca, but it was actually spoken by me, and so I fixed that. The line was, "Can you point to another 90-foot stone retaining wall?" So it said RB, it was actually, I was the one who said that. And then I put page numbers on the transcript, so.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah, so those are the only, and I'll get you a new copy.
So you resend that, and I'll make that as the record.
I have a question. I assume until we get a new secretary, is this the procedure we're going to be using going forward?
It worked pretty well this time.
It worked pretty well?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I'm willing to do it,
All right,
at least
well then,
in the short term.
That's wonderful.
So,
Thank you. And we'll continue. So someone will be viewing, you'll be viewing the tonight's
yes.
video. Very good. Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes as modified.
I second.
Aye, Garrett Stuck, aye.
Carol Bolger, yes.
Rod Lawrence, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Deborah Chiaffi, yes.
Beverly Schiff, aye.
Good. Okay, do we have a treasurer's report?
No treasurer's report this week.
Okay.
So,
We still have a minute. Do we have any monitors reports we should know about?
1990 Main Road, they're doing a gutter replacement, and that has been done.
Good.
The contractor, so the gutter replacement was for two sides, the south and east sides of the house. The contractor actually started on another side of the house. Did about 7 feet before he was stopped, but that's been repaired, and eventually they'll be for that.
Good. And I guess we have
We have a report.
report on
What was the number?
2038 and 2040 Main Road. The architect requested requested that instead of repairing the existing windows, they replace them with Brosco windows that are the simulated divided light that are the appropriate windows. And Bill and I felt that that was an acceptable change without bringing it to the entire commission. But I wanted to report that.
The windows, they're not the Brosco window, it's the Boston sash.
Boston sash,
Unless
I'm
he's-
sorry, not Roscoe,
Unless he's
Boston
changed,
sash.
unless he's changed.
No,
that.
no, Boston sash.
But
I
the
just
sit-
misspoke.
the situation is that there's, what is it, 3, 4 original windows in the front of the house. And the house, the rest of the house does not have original windows. And so the architect requested that, and he's adding another window on the front of the house. So that means that there's.
Another 2 windows.
So, yeah, another 2 windows. So that means that there's a number of windows going to be replaced, and to make them all the same around the house, which they would have been when the house was built, then what he proposes to do is install Boston sash windows, which are actual replicas of the windows that were there. Very, very authentic. And so we felt that would certainly improve the project.
Because one thing, it would no longer require an aluminum storm window.
Right. The sash itself would be a
Double glazed.
simulated divided light, but it would be in 12 over 12s, 6 over 6s, with the also the plank frames, which is very important. So it's going to look exactly like what was there.
Sounds good.
Okay. First order of business, 1893 Main Road. Do we have a presentation?
I brought a copy of these.
That'd be great.
We have these two. We also sent these, I sent these to email.
I've got a question. Where exactly is this house?
I'm trying to think of it. So,
She gave us pictures too, if you want to refresh.
Oh, we have pictures. That'll.
It's,
So it's north of Road, is that correct?
Yeah, I know actually pretty well. But this is
It sits way back. I can see it.
landscape.
Could I look at this? See that is
you can, yeah, I left these for us to use.
Oh, is this?
Hello, how are you?
Wasn't it?
Who's that?
That's not Lois, Jane Lowe's. Jane Lowe's house.
No, it isn't. But I think it's on the corner of Carter Way,
Okay.
I think.
This is her whole set. She's got them up there and you've got some of them.
Pretty close to me.
This is a nice project.
And there's one, this I-101 seems to be a duplicate. Here's a set.
Okay, ready.
Sure, so this is 1893, and we have 2 proposals. The first is there's a studio on the property, which we'd like to add on a bathroom to, change some window locations. And then the second part of the project is there's an existing primary suite, which is currently 1 floor. We are proposing popping it up and adding dormers to both sides to get a second floor living space. As you can see from the photos, this is fairly set back from the road, but definitely visible from Main Road.
Okay, so the primary bedroom is the wing coming off the main house on the top site plan, is that correct?
That is correct. This is the primary suite right now.
Okay. So I guess what you're not showing is how it relates to the main house.
Not in drawings, only in photographs.
Okay, but does
It
the
has a
photograph
number of
impose what you're
smaller
proposing?
cottages and studios and
It
garages.
sure does. If you look in the
Sheds.
photographs, you can see the main block of the house is a gambrel.
Yes.
This was obviously some sort of later addition with the,
Do we know the dates of anything? The original dates of these?
I do not know off the top
Is it
of
on
my
the
head.
application? Do we have the application?
I
I
don't,
don't know that the application actually
The
has
application doesn't say
the
it.
dates.
Oh, well, that's not good. All right, maybe somebody can look it up on GIS. Anybody out there got a phone that they can look it up on the Westport GIS? And while we're talking,
What kind of foundation does it have?
The main house,
Yeah,
it is a concrete foundation. I would put this in 60s
all right, well, that indicates
or
that
70s.
it's a later house.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
that's.
again, you do
okay.
have the photos
Okay,
of the existing, so.
okay.
It's not very old.
So it's
yeah,
a
so
it's a colonial reproduction, just that's what where I'm getting going. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, yeah.
I'm not sure I have too much other to share. Those are the two pieces of the project. We've got the studio that we'd like to add on a half bath to. And then we have, again, the primary suite, which we'd like to go up, make some second floor living space, which adds 2 dormers to the primary suite current footprint. We're not expanding any footprints in the main house, but at the studio, we're looking to add a half bath.
so what is, of the project, what is seen from a public way?
So you see, from a distance, there's one elevation that you see, and it's gonna be the east elevation. So you see this elevation from the public way, and on the studio, you again see the east elevation. And again, in your photographs, I've tried to document that on the first couple of pages.
Okay, in your existing, can you show us, on the elevations that we are going to see, what's existing and what's going to be added?
Okay, so for the primary suite, this is the proposed, and this is the existing, right here. So we've currently got a door and a window. I'm just proposing a couple of windows, and instead of doing a window and an awning here, just keeping 3 windows, and again, adding the dormer above.
So you're not going up in height in elevation?
No, we are.
You
We
are.
are. There's no dormer currently on the east elevation, and I'm adding a dormer on the east elevation. And there's a very, well, we don't have to talk about the west, but there's a very small dormer on the west, and I am enlarging it.
But you're not raising the roof line?
Yes, yes, I am, by about 2 feet.
By about 2 feet.
Correct.
So you're also raising the, okay.
The GIS says it's built in original 1900s, all it has, 1900 construction of home
Okay.
built in 1900, but there's no other data on other, clearly it was also amended in stages, so probably the primary structure was 1900, and then that little breezeway to the other small structure, I don't have information on that.
So you're raising the roof by raising the sidewalls or increasing the pitch? I'm not.
Increasing the pitch.
Increasing the pitch,
Correct.
and then adding
Just to give it a
dormers.
little bit more headroom.
Okay.
Yes. So it's just those 2 east elevations that are visible from Main Road, and again, it's at a distance.
And what are the materials used?
We are proposing to match existing, so we would have wood corner boards. The windows, I am proposing a Pella Architect series, which I know you have approved in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
White cedar shingles, everything to match existing.
And in terms of the trim proportions and everything will match?
Correct.
And where is the existing studio as opposed to the proposed? I know the proposed,
So the studio footprint does not change, other than we're proposing to add a half bath to it, but the studio stays in its current location as shown in the
and the
photographs.
footprint continues to be the same? The foot,
We are
Well, they're
proposing
adding the half bath. on
adding a
it.
half
Yeah,
bath,
that's
correct, so a 3 by 9 or 9.
so we really can't see the existing studio well?
What?
Can't see the existing studio.
It's in the photograph.
You see one elevation of it.
She's pointing to it.
And I actually think I brought an older copy. I think your copy might actually have the proposed east elevation.
Which
If
number
anyone
is it?
has a 402, it should show the proposed east elevation.
I'm
R102.
And what is that, in the middle drawing, the top middle drawing, in that drawing, go up, does what's that you've got your finger on?
So this is the proposed north elevation of the primary suite.
But what is that white thing?
This right here, that's a section of the little mudroom connector.
That's just the connection
That's
to the
right,
main
that's the
house?
connection to
Okay,
the main
that's,
house.
okay.
Yes,
And that's existing.
that is correct.
Okay,
So sorry, can you point out once again for the studio, the existing,
So this
Down
is
below.
the existing east elevation for the studio.
okay, and proposed
up above.
up above, okay, thank you.
And where is that in relationship to the whole floor plan, or the lot plan, if you will?
Right there.
This is the site plan right here. So this is the primary, this is the main block, this is the primary suite addition, and there, if anyone knows, there's a vegetable garden over here, which is.
And where's Main Road?
Main Road is all the way over here, so
Okay.
it's at 200 feet setback.
It's across from the schoolhouse.
Hmm?
It's across from the schoolhouse. That property? Well, I think the dormers actually add an aesthetic value to it from just the plain roof now, so I have no problem with it.
Any other questions or comments?
No?
Do I hear a motion?
I move we accept the proposal.
Second,
I'm going to start with you, Beverly.
Beverly Schiff, aye.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Ron Lawrence, aye.
Caroline Bolter, aye.
Jared Stucker.
Now, we need to appoint some monitors.
I'll be monitored.
That's one.
Yeah, Deb and I will do it.
Those you
Yeah,
two.
so we'll
Okay,
decide.
now,
Sign
with the
one.
monitors, you'll get their,
I get a little card again, or?
your,
I don't know if I have any of those.
phone
You and
numbers.
I have emailed. I
Yeah.
can give you the
Okay.
information. too.
Okay, and notify them when the work begins, if you're planning any changes that we haven't approved tonight, and when the work ends.
I
Okay?
just need to have everybody sign, 3 of us sign for the building department, so.
And here I
Is
sign
that the
this.
complete set?
Yeah, I think I need to separate this into a set. That's R101. And we've got,
Do you have to sign both pages?
no, I just want to get one set. R102. And then A201. Got that one already. Got tickets here, so I just want to get one set. And A201. Okay, I'll give the building department this set. We need, what, 3 signatures?
Sign copies.
4? Do you want to sign?
Thank you.
All set?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Road, do you want to sign?
Yeah.
I'll take actually if you have an extra copy.
Yeah, you have my email too, smaller set, so you can easily see them on your email.
Giving these to you, who gets these?
Oh, either one of us. Actually, I don't have keys.
Okay, so.
Can I
Deborah.
have those back?
Deborah will take it.
I'll do the certificate and then we'll put Deb and I on as the monitors and then I'll deliver all that to the building department.
Perfect, thank
Right,
you.
all good.
Okay. And look, timing was perfect. Next item of business. 2015 Main Road. Now, I've got what's deemed a motion for reconsideration of decision rendered by Westport Historical Commission on it with a cover letter from Kelly Jordan Price that says, in accordance with the Westport Historical Commission's rules and regulations, I am enclosing herewith a motion for reconsideration of decision to deny request for continuance and to reopen hearing on request for certificate of appropriateness. And I'm flummoxed because I can't find anything in our rules and regulations that provide for such a reconsideration or any mechanism to do so. And I'm wondering where this is coming from.
It's in Robert's rules, and it's a fairly standard public body procedure. You've engaged in it before, there's precedence for it.
Have we? Okay. But it's not, so it's not actually in our rules and regulations.
No, but the public meeting, only with respect to the fact that you're holding public meetings.
Uh-huh. And why have you chosen this way as opposed to just reapplying?
Because I can't enter into an agreement to toll a statutory appeal period. So instead of forcing me to file additional claims, I thought it best to do it this way. We were in the process, I believe last year when you attended, we had planned to do a few different ways to mitigate the height of the wall. One was to build up, that's what we tried to do last time. The other was to explore potential reductions in the height of at least part of the wall. And the project had stopped, the contractors moved on. They were not available. I've only just re-engaged them. I've spoken to one of my neighbors about some plans back and forth. We've got some drawings. I don't have engineering yet. And we'd like the opportunity to continue to explore that. Someone also brought up, one of the board members, an application for a certificate of hardship. Haven't even looked at that yet. Have no idea what that involves. And we were looking for time to explore those alternatives rather than go to court.
Right, well, one thing I think a certificate of hardship would require is financials. So, just so
Well,
you.
again, I haven't researched it, so can't comment on that.
Rod, can I ask town council a question
Sure,
about this
absolutely,
issue? Because I want to understand something, and I've been rereading our guidelines, and I guess the simplest question is, you were given a unanimous denial at the last meeting. We spent time drafting a decision that was dated February 14th, Valentine's Day. We have that decision, which has a lot of detail about why you were denied. And our rules and regulations basically say that if you're going to come back to us with a substantial change in your design, then you should file a new application. So for town council, I want to understand, why was our decision not allowed to be provided to the applicant so that he could then see our reasoning and give us a new application? It seems like that's the simplest way to deal with this, and I'm just puzzled why we're not doing it under our rules and regulations.
I should just
Mr. Chair,
mention, I don't see a big distinction between a new application and filing a continuance here with any changes being brought before us at our next meeting. That would be the April meeting.
so if I may, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
the two things. One, I do agree with the applicant that while a motion for reconsideration is not something that's spelled out one way or the other as being allowed or not allowed in the commission's rules and regulations, it is a common procedural device both in public body in Massachusetts and as well as Robert's rules, which the applicant referenced, town meeting time, which governs town meetings. So it is not unusual if the applicant has been denied the relief they've been seeking and feels they have new information to bring before the commission,
Okay.
to do so with a motion for reconsideration. So I think procedurally, the commission is fine on that front.
Okay.
With respect to the question regarding why not just issue the decision and see what the applicant does, that was a decision that the I believe Mr. Kendall, who was serving in your stead while you were away, Mr. Chair, he and I agreed.
I did view, by the way, the last meeting, so I'm
Fair,
fully
yep, okay.
versed.
This is not a public hearing, so that particular rule regarding having viewed the prior might not apply, but
Right.
regardless, upon the advice of counsel, the decision was not issued so as not to trigger the applicant's appeal period under Chapter 40C, so that the motion for reconsideration could be brought to the commission to see if it was something the commission wanted to entertain before Mr. Branca had to file an appeal of the denial.
Okay.
So
I
that's the
understand that.
explanation.
I guess, I think the question before us then, and Mr. Bronk, I'll directed toward you. So are you coming with something different? Are you planning to come with something different
I'm
to
in the
propose
stages
to
of-
us?
We're in the stages of working on something right now.
Okay.
I've got a preliminary design, otherwise I would have brought more to show you, but it's not a public hearing.
But I think you just mentioned it would require reducing the height perhaps of at least some part of
Yes.
that, of the structure. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything you can put before us now as a preliminary review, just so you don't come before us in April and we say, oh no, we're still nowhere, or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
I've got small copies in my car, I can bring them in. Again, it's not a public hearing, I can just give them to you.
No, it'll just be a preliminary review, so it has no,
It's,
there's no.
It shows further berming at the bottom of the wall, at the highest points, actually along the entire wall, and a reduction of the height of the wall,
Mhm.
By how much?
On which
18
elevation?
inches.
18 inches.
South, west?
Can,
All that.
so I think it's probably not appropriate for us to review any details of the plan. I mean, even a preliminary review has to be on the agenda. And this was not. So I mean, I think,
Well,
I think we're
the
really
motion is on the agenda. I mean,
yes, about whether or not to
Right.
grant a continuance. May I ask a question of town council?
Sure.
Could you comment on Mr. Branca's discussion involving the ramifications for him of reopening this decision as opposed to having a new application?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but are you, in terms of whether,
It triggers an appeal period.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, but Mr. Branca, maybe you could summarize again why you would prefer to continue the application rather than
I prefer,
submit a new
sure.
application? Yeah.
I prefer not to file, or be forced to file additional claims. And I really don't have a choice, you can confer with your counsel. There's a statute, I have to follow it to preserve my family's rights.
Mhm.
A reconsideration sort of rewinds everything to prior to the last hearing, in layman's terms, so that we can continue with the process, or not continue with the process, without prejudicing anybody's rights. And allow us to continue into the process we discussed 2 hearings ago, make some changes here, make some changes there, go through a series of meetings, just seeking to restart that process.
Mr. Chair, if I, in light of Mr. Branca's statement, I think I can answer Commissioner Stuck's question now. So the commission voted to deny the application for the certificate of appropriateness, but has not yet issued the written decision, as Commissioner Chelsea mentioned. That has been held back by agreement with Mr. Branca's counsel in terms of the timing. Once that written decision is issued under Chapter 40C of the general laws, Mr. Branca, as the applicant, would have 20 days to file an appeal of the written decision. By proceeding in the way that he has, it has allowed him to present the commission with this request to reopen the public hearing without having to trigger that appeal deadline and proceed with that legal proceeding. So in other words, he has come back to the commission saying what is set forth in his papers and what you're hearing from him tonight, and asked whether you would reopen the public hearing.
So,
Mr. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
If I
At
understand,
a future date, I should say.
yeah.
Reopen the public hearing at a future date.
So if I understand, if we stick with the decision we made at the last meeting, Mr. Branca might file a legal action, or he could submit a new application with the revision to his plan. If that's denied, he could still file an appeal of that, is that correct?
That's correct, and he could do both. He could appeal if the commission votes no on reconsideration tonight, and the decision is filed with the town clerk, he could appeal that. He could, at the same time, always file another application for a certificate of appropriateness I mean, there's nothing in the statute or
Well,
the commission's regulations that
so-
preclude that.
I guess, to rephrase that, in other words, there's no necessity to appeal the decision. And if you reapply, you can always appeal your reapplication.
No, I disagree with that. I am forced to appeal the prior decision.
Why are you forced to
I
appeal?
also disagree with that, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
If the applicant believes that the commission has made an error in the decision, if it were issued, then that would have to be something that the applicant would have to appeal under chapter 40C.
okay, Mr. Feingold, you've been patiently waiting.
I have a lot to say.
Okay,
First of all, the application, the motion for reconsideration is a backdoor way of having you reverse your denial. You denied 5-0. The motion doesn't even talk about that. By reconsidering, impliedly, you're being required, if you agree to the motion, you are effectively reversing your denial 5-0 for no reason. Mr. Branca has not agreed that you have reviewed jurisdiction. And as was brought up just now, he's discussing maybe reducing a wall 18 inches. 18 inches, doesn't come close, doesn't come close. So what's the point of reversing your denial if he comes here a month later with no plans and only a discussion perhaps of 18 inches? Mr. Moriarty has had discussions with Mr. Branca, and I hate to say it, but he's hitting his head against the wall. He hasn't been able to get him above 18 inches in all of those discussions and text messages. So I'm very skeptical and dubious. I'm here to tell you that Mr. Moriarty and my clients are willing and able to do everything they can to get to yes. They want to get to yes, but it takes two parties. We see no reason. I disagree with Attorney Smurge. It's not true. He doesn't have to appeal the first denial. He can apply again, and if that's denied, he can appeal then. There's no reason that he's not going to be harmed. So I respectfully disagree with Mr. Smurge, and we weren't consulted in this agreement not to file your denial. Enough said. Thank you.
I've got a question for Mr. Branca. I don't think 18 inches is what any of us believe is acceptable up here. I'm speaking for myself, but other people can speak for themselves. Now, I know at one point you didn't want to reduce the height of the wall at all because you didn't want to incur the cost of a saw cut. Once you're incurring the cost of a saw cut, does it matter how far down you go?
Yes, because originally I hadn't had access to the contractors. They've moved on to other projects since the project stopped. To discuss the saw cut that's the de minimis part of the cost.
Okay.
The major part of the cost is removing everything there, including the subsurface drainage. That's why the height matters. I'm attempting to see how low I can get it without having to remove the subsurface drainage and re-excavate again. And there's ledge there. Ms. Moriarty and I talked about.
Do we have anything that has been presented to us regarding this? Because we don't have any of this information. We don't have anything we can review. We don't have anything an expert can review. We've got nothing.
Brad, can I just make a point? I don't think we should be reviewing the plan at this point.
We have to decide whether to reverse the decision,
Yeah,
and to do that, we have to know what's going to be proposed.
Well, I don't think we do, and maybe, may I just say something about that? So, the only reason to reverse our decision is to prevent Mr. Branca from suing so that he can build exactly what he wants to build.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay?
It's a pathway to not doing that.
if he wants to compromise, he can come back and
And
compromise.
reapply.
He doesn't have to sue us. He can,
Right.
he can
No, I agree,
reapply.
I agree.
He
You
can
can
come back with a
reapply.
compromise. If that compromise is turned down, he could then sue,
Okay,
okay?
I agree.
But there's no reason, I mean, there's no other reason to overturn, you know, what we've already done,
okay.
except to allow him to, you know, prevent him from possibly suing.
I disagree with the characterization of overturning a decision. It's just reconsidering it, reopening the public hearing is what a reconsideration is.
Well,
we decided.
no, any reconsideration would have to be partnered with application for continuance. Because obviously we're not there yet.
I can file an application. What I can tell you is the 18-inch reduction and the burning up had a 4-foot 8-inch wall, 4 feet 8 inches.
Okay.
On the highest point that was 8 feet 10.
Let's stick to what,
That's-
Okay, let's not talk about that. I think
No.
it's irrelevant.
we're getting
Um,
weeds,
no,
legal
but
weeds,
wait,
other
first of
weeds.
all, you wasted a lot of our time.
And your neighbors who come out
And
every time.
and everyone here. And I just don't see this going anywhere. I just think you should reapply and, or come to us. Why don't you just come to us for a preliminary review? Bring all this stuff to us, then apply, and we'll have a real hearing again.
If we can continue the hearing, I'm more than happy to do that before we go to a full public hearing. I also would like the consideration of how we got here. We applied for building permits, the commission.
Okay, that's not on us, okay?
Excuse me, may I finish? We applied for building permits, the commission said, you're right, walls, pool's not subject to public view. Issued a
Let's not
permit,
rehash.
7 months later.
That's not true.
That isn't true.
That's not true.
You're revisiting history here. You never came before the commission in the first place to hear our view about your in-ground pool that's actually an above-ground pool.
Okay. this
You
is-
never came before us. You went right to the building
You
department.
never filed a certificate of non-applicability, which is required. Some certificate is required before any permit is issued. There are 3 certificates: appropriateness, hardship, non-applicability. Nothing was filed. Nobody came before us.
Under your procedure, which we thought we were following, it was in effect a certificate of non-applicability for
No.
jurisdiction.
No, a certificate of non-applicability is a certificate of non-applicability. It's clear in black and white.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I move that we deny the applicant's motion for reconsideration.
Second,
Okay?
Beverly Shook, aye.
Okay, Beverly, yeah.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Rudd Lawrence, aye.
Caroline Bolter, aye.
Garrett Stuck, aye.
Okay. Enough of that.
I have a question now that we've done this. Should we deliver our decision to the applicant?
Yes.
Oh, that's a
Right?
good idea.
Well,
Yes, yes. And
We
to the
have to.
town, and to the town, yes.
Well, to the town, yes.
Okay.
I move that we deliver our decision to the town and to the applicant.
second,
Yep.
Garrett Stuck, aye.
Caroline Bolter, aye.
Rudd Lawrence, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
Beverly Shook, aye.
Yes.
It is still necessary for you to consider a certificate of hardship?
We cannot consider
I know you
a
can't
certificate of
unless there-
hardship till the applicant provides us what we need
So
to
could you make a
consider.
statement to that?
Yeah, to that effect, yes. We are willing to consider an application of hardship. It would require a statement of financials to show what the hardship is. I don't, yeah.
If I may, Mr. Chair, the requirements for a certificate of hardship are set forth both in chapter 40C,
Right.
section 10, I believe.
Okay, so I don't need to enumerate them here.
And as supplemented by the applicable provision of the commission's rules and regulations. So the applicant and his counsel can refer to those.
Very good.
if They decide to submit an application for a certificate of hardship.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I think any other business to come before the commission?
Yes. Certificates of non-applicability.
I have no.
No certificate, oh, I thought we had one.
Yeah, we did too, but
I thought you and Rod had corresponded on email about some certificates. I never had them.
Or it
so
was
I-
Bill, it was the chimney, wasn't it?
A chimney, I think was one of them.
Oh, yes, 2044 or something?
Let me wait a second.
There was a chimney, there was something.
Yeah,
Until we have quiet,
it's
so we
hard,
get
it's hard
video.
to take minutes when there's confusion.
Yeah, wait till
And we
it calms
don't
down.
ever want confusion, ever.
I'm sure these people have nothing better to do every Monday or Sunday night of the month. He's never gonna get it, you know?
It's one of, yeah, repointed chimney, that was exactly right.
If you give me a minute, I might be able to find the email correspondence that you guys had. See if I can find it.
Very good.
Can identify those.
Mr. Chair, do you require the presence of counsel?
I do not think we require the presence of counsel going forward.
I will touch base with you and Jim tomorrow.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the commission, have a great evening.
Thank you, Roger.
Enjoy your trip
Roger,
back.
Thank you.
I'm doing my best.
Okay. Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
That's what we're here for. Have a good night.
Good to know you too. Get home safe.
Thank you very much.
Projects. Okay, on January 29th, that's next one. Wait. '21 Valentine Lane, was that the one?
I don't think I do have 21
Replace 3 windows in a bay, like for like?
No,
I
no.
remember that one, but I think that was in February.
was-
That was the
earlier-
prior
that was an
month,
earlier
okay, I
one.
don't have any others than on my email.
But there was-
No, there was one I saw when I was in Peru, I'm sorry.
Was it from Caroline?
I thought it was from you, actually.
No, I
Maybe
didn't.
it
I
was
wasn't
from
here to
you.
collect the mail, so.
Well, Caroline,
Oh.
you said there was
The
a,
chimney.
A chimney, yeah.
Chimney.
repointing chimney.
But
Where's
what I
that-
don't remember
Where's
is the
that
house.
document? Did they applied a certificate of non-applicability? They provided one?
They've long since got it.
you also mentioned a window.
That was
Replacement.
February.
That was February. Yep.
That's Valentine Lane, 21 Valentine Lane.
That was 3 windows in a bay. That was recorded in an email, 21 Valentine Lane.
That
I
was
think
Joy
that was
Brown's old house.
the
but,
prior month.
No, this
I
was,
don't have anything else from her.
actually, they submitted photographs. It's probably, I just don't remember the house number.
Huh.
I'm saying it's something like 2044. It was way down.
And what were they applying for?
Simply
It's a repair.
repointing a chimney.
Okay.
What's 46 Cape Bile Lane, Bile Lane?
That's Frisch. That's Henry Frisch. We
What's
already.
that?
It's, Gillespie was in front of us, the architect
Oh, that's
Gillespie.
right. Okay, I've got that.
And that's underway.
Yeah, yeah.
They were given a certificate of applicability for
Well,
their
then, maybe
design.
there was, maybe I was mistaken.
I don't think you were, but
I think there was a
honestly-
chimney. I seem to remember a picture of a chimney, but I
Yeah, I
don't have
did
any
too.
document on that. Maybe it's in the file?
2023?
Yeah, I think it is filed.
No, that's the town report, I'm sorry.
Okay, one other
We don't
thing-
have it, so.
One other thing I'd like to bring up is that we were on the point, and there was work being done, and we were meeting with the architect who was doing the work, and there were no monitors.
Oh, and what house was
What
that?
house was that?
Well, I don't know the numbers,
Well,
but
where
it's a
was
little
it?
cave way down by the
Yeah,
pocket shop.
that's
Is that Bronca's
that's
nephew?
Bronca's nephew or something.
But
Yeah.
who's the,
Is that, are you
I'm not
talking
the monitor on
2038,
that. I don't know.
2040?
I can, let me
No.
look this up in our little list I have on
No.
my
Because I just said
computer.
somebody ought to go.
Oh, no, it's the one that had the addition of the little one bedroom, that could only be a one bedroom, that had
Right.
the addition
And we-
on the
Oh, that
back.
was
Only
Kid
let
The two
Wise.
we only
stairways.
let them have one
That was
dormer?
Kit Wise.
That's right, with one dormer.
Yeah.
Who were the monitors on that?
Okay, let me just look
It
this
was
up.
just south of the Carter house.
I think you guys may have been.
It was contentious.
you know, we're monitors on
Rear monitors
But
on
somebody
38 and
So
40.
you met with the architect for that?
Yeah, and I asked who the monitors were on that house, because I
Okay.
saw that it was under
They're
construction.
supposed to inform the monitor. So what's the number? I have my list here of all the,
What's the house number we're talking about?
It's just south of,
I don't know.
like 2000 and something
Susan-
Main
Susan
Road? It
Farr.
would
2000
be
something, yeah.
2034, no, that's
It
Jeff
would be- It
Wade.
would be odd.
2039,
down.
William Hunt. 2040, David Jonkas.
No,
it's-
David, no,
2043, Greg Califano.
that's it.
That's it.
Okay,
I think.
okay, so that's, status of work to be determined. It was a single dormer, rear addition with
Yes,
pergola.
that's it.
No fence.
Who are
The
the
monitors are
monitors?
GS and BK. You two,
And Garrett.
Okay.
Garrett and Bill.
Okay, you guys are the monitor.
You're on.
Glad I made this list.
Contact
A-
Kit.
Anyway, the architect has not
Not notified. you.
contacted us.
No, he
Right.
hasn't.
Right.
So he should. Who's
He
the
should.
architect?
It's
Kit?
Kit.
Kit was.
All right, so Kit needs to contact you.
Yes. And scolded while you're at it.
Yeah, he knows he's supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I had it as status of work to be determined. Is it underway?
It's
I'll-
Yes, it's underway. It's
Yeah.
it's in process. Okay. New business. Now, I do have one bit of new business, thanks to Garrett.
Okay.
Which is that the minutes, he noted that minutes must include a list of all the documents and other exhibits used by the public body during the meeting. Documents and exhibits used at the meeting are part of the official record of the session, but do not need to be physically attached to the minutes. So, if I may read your
Yep,
email, he
yep,
says, "I
please.
propose that we start requiring applicants to provide a list of all documents they are proposing to show at the meeting. Each document should have a label corresponding to its entry in the list. This will help us comply with state law and will also make our meetings more efficient. We often struggle to match the documents we have in hand with the documents applicant is referring to. It will also encourage applicants to be more organized." I think it's a wonderful idea. But again, all this, we really need to revise our rules and regulations. That's really what
Which
this is about.
Requires a public hearing, right?
No, I don't think our rules and regulations, I mean, we have to do it at a meeting. We approve the revisions, but I don't think.
I checked, I'm pretty
Yeah?
sure it
Okay,
requires
well,
a public hearing.
we can look
What we
at it.
could do in the meantime, before we have any revisions, is just as clerk, we could look at the application and
And
say, is it complete?
okay,
Does
and
it
say,
have-
can you number each of your
Right.
exhibits so
So-
that we have, number and list them?
That's just a clarification of the application.
And that's a
right? So we
clarification
can
of the
do that
application.
part.
We
Sure.
can do that, yes.
Right.
What
Okay.
I'd like to do to try to comply with this, especially for these last few meetings,
Mhm.
I'd like to go back and re-look at the videos of each of those meetings for maybe the last 3 months
Mhm.
and just make notes of what documents
You are a
have been
glutton for
discussed.
punishment.
I just think this is so important
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this particular applicant
Yeah.
Mhm.
that we really should get our ducks in a row on anything that was talked about.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I know Betty Slade read an affidavit into the record.
Mhm.
I don't have a copy of that.
Right.
Does anybody? We should get that.
I
But that should be.
I have a
if
big
you have
package of
it.
stuff for this.
So I could put an email out, I'm looking for these documents,
Sure.
and then we can try to get them,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
they're part of the record.
Yeah, and I think, in the course of the meeting, if someone does present an affidavit, I mean, even before they, read it, we should ask for a copy of it.
Ask for a copy, and then it's in that meeting minutes for that night.
Okay, now, other new business that I've got, since this isn't an extraordinarily long meeting, is I was threatening a couple of meetings ago that I'd start going through all of our authorizing documents, starting with the 40C. And sort of after my review, what I picked out as salient things that we should note and carry forward. I don't know if this is a good time to start that process. You guys got a little time tonight? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Chapter 40C. Places of historic or archaeological value, protecting and preserving such places. But wait a minute while I get my... No building permit for construction of a building or structure or for alteration of an existing architectural feature within a historic district, and no demolition permit for demolition or removal of a building or structure within an historic district shall be issued by a city or town or any department thereof until a certificate required by this section has been issued by the commission. Now that has direct applicability, obviously, to our case at hand. Item number 1. Section 7. In passing upon all matters, now this is 40C, so this is the state enabling legislation, and this absolutely governs everything we do. In passing upon matters before it, the commission shall consider, among other things, the historic and architectural value and significance of the site, building, or structure, the general design, arrangement, texture, material, and color of the features involved, and the relations of such features to similar features of buildings and structures in the surrounding area. In the case of new construction or additions to existing buildings or structures, the commission shall consider the appropriateness of the size and shape of the building or structure, both in relation to the land area upon which the building or structure is situated and to buildings and structures in the vicinity, and the commission may, in appropriate cases, impose dimensional and setback requirements in addition to those required by applicable ordinance or bylaw. See, this stuff is great, really. This is all what we've been dealing with. The commission shall not make any recommendation or requirement except for the purpose of preventing developments incongruous to the historic aspects or the architectural characteristics of the surroundings and of the historic district. Temporary structures or signs are not, they can be exempted. This is a listing of things that we can exempt from our review. Temporary structures of signs, subject, however, to such conditions as to duration of use, location, lighting, removal, and similar matters as the commission may reasonably specify. I'm not sure that caveat is in our rules and regulations, which I've got here also, but
Aye. Do you want them?
oh, there, I've got them. I've got them somewhere. Here, our guidelines, I mean, in terms of when we talk about what's exempt, I think it just says temporary structures without that caveat, and I think we need to incorporate that
Yeah,
caveat, 'cause that's
Definitely.
an important caveat.
Mhm.
Here, oh, you know what? We didn't take out temporary structures, did we? We did, it's not listed in what we're exempting from review. Never mind.
So it's under our review?
Yeah, apparently temporary structures are under our review, although we've treated temporary structures, no, we have reviewed temporary structures.
Yeah, we.
Yeah, the sign on
Last
the
one.
That's right,
There was that
ramps
sign.
and the sign, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so, good.
And
Okay,
temporary
never
has
mind,
been a
so
matter of
this really isn't
interpretation.
relevant.
Yeah,
I'm taking
I
this
think
off.
so. There was someone before the commission, I don't know, before I joined, but I just remember being here at the meeting, and it was someone who needed
A ramp.
a ramp in
Yeah.
front of their house, and it was
And we
deemed to
had
be
to verify
temporary.
how temporary it would be, et
And then it
cetera.
was approved because
Yeah.
it was gonna be temporary.
Yeah, okay. Okay, in the case of a disapproval of an application for a certificate of appropriateness, the commission shall place upon its records the reasons for such determination, and shall forthwith cause a notice of its determination, accompanied by a copy of the reasons therefor, as set forth in the records of the commission, to be issued to the applicant, and the commission may make recommendations to the applicant with respect to appropriateness of design, arrangement, texture, material, and similar features. Now, that particular clause, I think, is very important, that when we deny, we make recommendations. Because that, if and when we have to go to litigation, it shows the judge that we're not just saying no, we're saying no,
Some
but
basis
if
for
you
it.
do this, we might say yes.
Well, we went through this, Bill and I went through this, a number of drafts with council, and we came up with this 4-page denial, which point by point says why we're denying it. You know, incongruity, the setting, the jurisdiction, that whether or not it's at grade, not at grade. We went through all that without saying converse, that if you did these things, you would be approved.
Well, we never
it's sort
say
of-
that, we say, we recommend.
But we didn't
looking
make
into
recommendations.
these
I wouldn't even
things.
say that, he's had plenty of consideration and recommendations from architects, from contractors. You know, I think if we just say that he has, you know, we've had architects, 2-3 architects, come up with plans, written plans to show him.
But then we can say we're looking something along those lines. That's all we have to say. Is that would be more acceptable to us?
Yeah, but leave the actual, suggestions.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so this is something to add to our determination.
Yeah, we don't have to do it on this one, but.
Can you read that clause again?
Well,
Okay.
I'm worried about changing it now.
The commission
because this
may
is
make
baked in the
recommend, don't
cake,
change
and
it, because
I
that's
don't-
been
don't do
vetted too many times by the attorneys, and that's just racking up legal fees.
Yeah, and the other thing too, is there a date by which we must render our decision in writing? Does it say? Because I know you were
Well,
worried
actually,
about enforceability.
what's required is to actually, it's not rendering a decision, it's giving you reasons for a negative decision.
Mhm.
You don't have to give reasons for a positive decision.
Right.
You don't have to render a positive
It's
decision.
true.
It's
Right.
only a negative decision, first of all. Secondly, we're actually required, I'm not, it may come up here, it may be start in the town bylaws. We're actually required to give those reasons at the time we are denying the application. Now, which is crazy because each person has different reasons. And frankly, if we vote a negative, what I may do in the future is then go roll call one by one and say, could you please give the applicant your reasons?
And I
Okay?
think the denial, we did take into account all the discussions that we had heard at
Yes,
the meeting. So I think
you
we did
No, I-
capture.
you did, I saw it.
Yeah,
And
so I
I've
think we
reviewed that
captured
meeting.
the reasons
But that
why.
negative vote would put our reasons in the minutes.
Hmm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So-
going forward, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Prior to the issuance, so here it is. Prior to the issuance of any disapproval, the commission may notify the applicant of its proposed action accompanied by recommendations for changes in the applicant's proposal, which, if made, would make the application acceptable to the commission. Well, that's loaded. I think it's always good to qualify
Yeah,
those things.
and it said may. I mean,
May.
it don't- we
It's
don't
not-
have to.
There's no obligation.
And I think we also have to be really careful to not get into a situation where we say, oh, well, if you cut the wall down by half, that would make us a lot happier, or we'll approve it, or something. And then they come back and they say, well, I cut it down by half. And then we're stuck, right?
Right.
Then we're stuck.
Right,
So,
right. Unless that really would make us happy. I mean.
but it can make us happy in a vacuum, right? I mean,
Right,
so
right, right.
I think we have to emphasize that we need to see the entire project.
Mhm.
Reducing the size of it is
One part of it.
one
element,
part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, certificate of hardship. Basically, the commission shall determine whether, owing to conditions especially affecting the building or structure involved, but not affecting the historic district generally, failure to approve an application will involve a substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the applicant, and whether such application may be approved without substantial detriment to the public welfare and without substantial derogation from the intent and purposes of this chapter. So even with a certificate of hardship, we're exercising that amount of judgment. Okay? Should we go through all of 40C tonight? I've just, the things I picked out, you can see I've got about 7 more tabs.
On the hardship one, I have a question. If this bunker that's been constructed without our approval drags on for however long because it's in litigation, is that considered a hardship for boaters who go by and see this
The
horrific
hardship
looking
is only,
thing?
is
Or
only
it
on
just
the,
the applicant?
is only the applicant's hardship.
Okay, it's not the applicant of the neighborhood?
No,
Or
no.
it's not the hardship of the neighborhood? Okay.
But I would think he would be able to, particularly with the passage of time, develop a fairly strong case that for him this is a hardship. You know, he keeps moaning and groaning about all the money he spent.
Yeah, but as I say,
We don't care.
we don't, well, we do care,
He has to
but
I don't.
I want to see his financials, if he thinks it's going to bankrupt him.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So, Okay, and quite frankly, if you're that close to the line, you shouldn't be building a project of this magnitude.
I'm with you.
But, okay. The commission shall keep a permanent record of its resolutions, transactions, and determinations, and of the vote of each member participating therein. We're doing that now, and we'll continue to do that going forward. The commission shall file with the city or town clerk and with any department of the city or town having authority to issue building permits a copy of notice of all certificates and determinations of disapproval issued by it. Well, you know that, but the letter I sent to Ralph clarified that he must, within the historic district, he must have a certificate for us before any approval can be made. Okay,
And he must come to us with historical houses for anything, or
that's, yeah.
in the historic district, period.
Yes. Okay, I'm skipping lots of stuff, obviously, but it's stuff I think that's more self-evident. Approval, disapproval of a concurring vote of a majority of the members of the commission shall be necessary to issue a certificate of appropriateness, a certificate of non-applicability, or a certificate of hardship. The commission shall fix a reasonable time for the hearing on any applications and shall give public notice of the time, place, and purposes thereof at least 14 days before said hearing in such manner as it may determine, and by mailing, postage prepaid, a copy of said notice to the applicant, to the owners of all adjoining property, and other property deemed by the commission to be materially affected thereby. Now, we've basically always said, well, people who are being materially affected are the adjoining property owners, and I think that's legitimate. I don't think we have to do mass mailings to everybody in the historic district. And it says, to the planning board of the city or town or any person filing written request for notice of hearings. Now, the planning board, I don't think we've ever given our notices to the planning board.
I don't think so either.
Well, here we go. Just add it to the list.
So we should be doing what with the planning board? Giving them,
When we give notices to abutters,
Oh.
it should go to the planning board as well.
I don't think the planning board is, what,
Do they have a mailing
They
address?
have a planning board member.
Well, it's town hall, I mean,
Yeah, but I thought they were missing.
just,
yeah, well, the way we do it now is we just get a list of all the abutters, and
Right.
then we also give the
The
same
applicant.
letter to
The
the
applicant.
applicant.
yeah.
And
And I also give one to the architect for the applicant, just so they have the notice too, just for convenience, but I didn't realize, would we do it to the planning board office, just drop a copy off?
Yeah,
the chairman,
exactly right, there's a slot at town hall, drop a copy.
they may have, do they have a,
They should have a
Slot?
cubby hole.
Yeah, they
Cubby
should
hole.
definitely
They
have
should
a
have a cubby hole.
cubby.
just stick one in there?
And it says, and to such other persons as the commission shall deem entitled to notice, which it gives us that option. As soon as convenient after such public hearing, but in any event within 60 days after the filing of the application, or such further time as the applicant may allow in writing, the commission shall make a determination on the application. So once we get an application, we have 60 days.
Unless it's continued. and it
Unless
keeps
it's
the
continued
ball
by the
going.
applicant. Yeah. A public hearing on an application need not be held if such hearing is waived in writing by all persons entitled to notice thereof. This is interesting. In addition, a public hearing on an application may be waived by the commission if the commission determines that the exterior architectural feature involved, or its category or color, as the case may be, is so insubstantial in its effect on the historic district that it may be reviewed by the commission without public hearing on the application. Provided, however, that if the commission dispenses with a public hearing on an application, notice of the application shall be given to the owners of all adjoining property and other property deemed by the commission to be materially affected thereby, as above provided, and 10 days shall elapse after the mailing after such notice before the commission may act upon such application. So what this is saying is if it's real de minimis stuff, we don't have to necessarily have a public hearing, as long as we give notice to everybody in a sufficient time that they can object.
Well, I mean, isn't this essentially a certificate of
non-applicability.
non-applicability?
Well,
Well, not literally,
no,
but
because there are things we rule on that are pretty de minimis. I mean, gutters, or, whatever, they're changing from a wooden gutter to a fiberglass gutter that has the same profile, right?
When that notice is sent to the abutters,
Mhm.
what that notice would say is that we determine that this doesn't require a public hearing. And
Right,
they have the right to,
request a public
Request it.
hearing, or appear.
they would have to say that in that.
Well, actually, you know
document.
what it says? It says we are going to decide it without a public hearing unless someone appears at the meeting and requests a public hearing, I think is the way to do it.
Does it say that, or does it say they must agree that we don't have a public hearing? Because that would
Doesn't say
be,
they
It's
must
almost
agree.
more
Yeah,
work
very
to do it
different
that way
thing.
than just have the public hearing, and that way, nobody can come back
Well,
and say,
you know,
well, you didn't
and
let
since
us know.
people can show up, and so, why not, people can decide for themselves if it's de minimis. I think you're right. Why bother with all
Why
this?
bother with
yeah.
it?
I mean,
You're
we're
right.
always
I agree.
discussing
You're
these
absolutely right.
CNAs at the
Mhm.
meeting anyway.
Yep, yep.
And then any abutter would be able to attend, although they wouldn't have had notice of it. We don't usually give notice of CNAs.
no.
That's the difference here. Should we be?
Well, it says we should be, right?
What?
It said we should be giving notice.
Even for a CNA?
No, not for certificate of non-applicability.
Only for CAs, even if they're de minimis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But, we're just gonna do it.
We do
We've done
that,
it
yeah.
now,
Another
we
layer to
continue
what
to
we
do
have
it.
to do.
No,
De minimis
doesn't hurt anybody.
CAs, we still do the notice.
And then the last thing I've got on 40C, the Superior Court, sitting in equity for the county in which the city or town is situated, shall have jurisdiction to enforce the provisions of this chapter and any ordinance or bylaw enacted hereunder and the determinations, rulings, and regulations issued pursuant thereto, and may, upon the petition of the mayor or the board of selectmen or of the commission, restrain by injunction violations thereof, and without limitation, such court may order the removal of any building, structure, or exterior architectural feature constructed in violation thereof, or the substantial restoration of any building, structure, or exterior architectural feature altered or demolished in violation thereof, and may issue such other orders for relief as may be equitable. Just so everyone's clear, this is what the court has the power to do. It says knock the whole thing down.
So this is the enforcement piece.
This is the
We've
enforcement.
given him a stop work order and we did vote for enforcement, so this is what enforcement looks like.
That's what
And this is
enforcement
what
looks
it
like.
probably will
So,
come to.
but he would appeal it,
Yes.
and then the judge will decide.
Right. That's 40C. Is that enough for tonight, or you want to go further?
I just wanted to make one comment about, I think there was the very first thing you read was just one of 3 paragraphs in that section.
Let's see. Uh,
I think there were 2 other paragraphs in that section. But anyway, the point I wanted to make is that, I think a lot of times we say, oh, we don't have jurisdiction over that. Well, the fact is that we have jurisdiction over every single
in the
single
historic
project.
Yes.
Whether it's at grade, whatever,
Right.
it has to, they
They have
need
to come to us.
they need a
They have to come
certificate
to us,
from
and we
us.
have to make it very clear.
And we can say, okay, it's a grade, so,
I had said to
Not
Bill, should
applicable.
we reconsider, going to the public and asking for purview over fences, pools, tennis courts, whatever. But it sounds like we don't need to do that. We had that all along.
Right.
Well,
And-
it says
and 40C
it's
seems-
exempt though.
seems to
It
Fences
says, no, our bylaw says it's exempt.
exempt. It's
yes,
exempt.
but it doesn't mean that we don't,
But it doesn't say it the same way it says it in our guidelines, and we have to.
So
make those
guidelines-
So
conform.
my understanding, if somebody wants to build a fence,
Mhm.
they must come to us
With a certificate of non-applicability.
and ask us for a certificate of
That's
non-applicability.
absolutely correct.
Even though we don't have, formally, we don't have jurisdiction over fences, but every single project
Yep.
has to have a certificate from us.
Mhm.
And it really does need to be clearer in the guidelines, because
Yeah.
people just wouldn't know from reading
Right.
it.
So how do you catch that, though, if it's a project that doesn't require a building permit? How do you get that?
Well, that's tough, and that's why, it's part of that section. Maybe let me pull it up, because the other
It's here if
paragraphs.
you want to referred to.
You have the whole,
I've got the whole 40C right here.
okay. Do you know which section that came from?
Which section are we talking about? I'm
The
sorry.
building department
Paragraph,
is
there's
our
no buil-
first line of defense.
No building permit may be issued.
Right there.
Yeah, but there's more.
There's more to it, the next
I was thinking we
paragraph.
should get Ralph
And there,
in
that's
here,
Maybe
all.
we should
you know, I mean,
get Ralph to come to a meeting so we can have a,
and have him say,
discussion.
look at this, because I went down there again tonight, and I just couldn't even believe it. You know, it was like it had grown even since the last time I saw it. But get Ralph to come in here and say, you know, because he keeps going back to, you know, I went to the building next.
I'm sorry we didn't get to discuss the project a little bit, quite frankly. Because I wanted to make two comments. One thing is that the lower that front portion that holding the pool becomes, it will also reduce costs because you're not doing all that stone facing. I mean, a lot less stone facing.
It's just the circuitous kind of
But
conversation.
the other thing is, and something I don't even know that they've considered, is that the way it's built right now, you look out of his house, all you see is that stupid pool. Whereas if you drop it, what you will see is you'll look over the pool and you'll see the view better.
That's
You'll
his
see the
drawback,
shoreline,
too.
which is really what you want to see out of your house. I
Right.
mean, it's like,
No, he's diminishing his own value.
yeah, I know.
And the value of his neighbors, but he knows all that.
Well, I'm not sure he does. and
Well,
it's
then
nice
he's
to
not
remind him. Okay.
Okay, so anyway, and maybe I was a little bit wrong with this, but section 6, the same section you read from, except as the ordinance or bylaw may otherwise provide in accordance with section 8 or said section 8 or 9, no building or structure within a historic district shall be constructed or altered in any way that affects exterior architectural features unless the commission shall first have issued a certificate of appropriateness, a certificate of non-applicability, or a certificate of hardship with respect to such construction or alteration.
You want to put
There it
that tab right there, and we'll include that going
Absolute authority.
forward. Just
Yeah.
put it right there, right at the paragraph.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, good, great, thank you.
Click your heels.
Toto.
Okay,
Okay,
enough for tonight?
that was good, thank
Yeah, I have to
you.
work the polls
Next,
tomorrow.
next,
Yeah,
next,
you have a
next
long
meeting,
day
if we have time, we'll go over the rules and wait a minute, the bylaws, the town bylaws, commission bylaw.
Tonight?
No,
Next
next
time.
meeting.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Don't give me that face.
Next meeting, maybe a little longer than this one, but.
It doesn't sound like it's gonna be.
I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
A second.
Thank you. And thanks for your endurance.
Shall we vote? Shall we vote?
Oh,
You should
yes.
vote.
Yes. Beverly,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Rudd, aye.
Caroline, aye.
Jared Stuck, aye.
Aye, okay, we're adjourned.